Yeah, Alec, we're talking about Duel again. Emmanuel was like saying he was taking John's stance of it, but not being a man in a truck. It was a sentient car, a sentient truck, after all. So,
yeah.
I just like messing around with that because it's a fun theory, a fun kind of a way of imagining the film.
Yeah.
I haven't put my scores in yet. I'm just doing that now.
Well, scoring time.
Oh, and I've started recording too, just to give everybody a heads up.
Great. Yeah, I was gonna say I can't remember, but obviously it's probably a good idea to do it because otherwise, because I've got the problem. I can record the video perfectly fine, but the audio terribly. Unless I just record the audio separately, and I can record both separately, and I have to combine the two. That's the only way I can do it currently.
That's the pain. It's too bad because I think your audio would be better than mine. Mine is just like, actually, it's my mic that's not the best. Actually, I think the system audio is fine.
Yeah, no worries. So Alec, she can hear us. Yeah. You're there, Alec. Why did you pick this classic film?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went into it last week. It's just sort of like a little bit of closure for me. It was it's Eb's favorite film. I think since while we were together about 30 times. Yeah, just kind of wanted to. I don't know. It just seemed right to kind of like, you know, with everything going on, it seemed right to just kind of like pick it as a bit of a drawing a line under it kind of thing. But yeah, it's always been like a fun one. Been one like I don't know. There's an awful lot going on in it. Is it like heavily flawed? Yes, but yeah, I don't know. It's got a lot of charm to it. There's some because there's some I don't know. There's a lot of good stuff to it too. There's a lot to recommend. And like yeah, I guess we'll go into it. But I don't know. Considering the amount of characters sort of around and in the mix and everything, and like I don't know, that just doesn't. For the most part, it all feels pretty real, considering we're dealing with like kind of treasure hunters, shit like that. I do have major gripes with a particular faction of characters. But yeah, big fan of this one. Nice, looks a nice line. I think it's got laughs, it's got action. It's a little bit tongue in cheek. Characters are nicely done. I don't think you actually. I don't know. I don't think you see a lot of that just nowadays. Just. Just kind of like, oh, we're having I don't know, it seems just kind of be like, it's a fun action movie, therefore we've made all the characters stupid and arsehole-ish. And it's like, oh, okay. Whereas this is a lot of people, yeah, I don't think I dislike anyone in this cast. But I'll stop talking now. Ever someone else?
So I guess I'm going next. Oh, sorry, Ben. Were you going to go?
No, you spoke first. You go. You have the floor.
Okay. It's funny you said that. You must have seen it about 30 times when you and Ab was together, because I'm trying to think of how many times have I seen this film, and I don't know, but it's an obscene number of times. I've seen this film way more times than anybody should probably watch a film, and the second one as well. And it's really funny because I remember when I was a kid, well, not a kid, it came out in 1999, so I was maybe like 11 or 12 or something, but because it was on TV. I wasn't 11. I was when it came out. It was the year I turned 8, but it was a few years later, and it was on TV. And my dad and my brothers were watching it, and I got scared of something. And my mum was working a night shift, so she wasn't at home. And like, I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I don't want to stay in the living room anymore. So I decided I was leaving the living room. But then I went into the hallway, and the hallway was dark. None of the lights were on downstairs. None of the lights were on upstairs. And like, I was really scared. And I think the cat like had zoomies and like ran past me. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. And then I sat at the bottom of the stairs crying because I was scared and I couldn't go back into the room with the scary film, but I was also too scared to actually just go upstairs to bed.
Oh no.
But what's really funny is a few years later when we got it on DVD, I just really got into it for some reason. I just really enjoyed watching it. So yeah, it's a movie that holds a special place in my heart. I don't know how I decided I wasn't scared of it one day. I think I just grew up. It was fun watching it from a critical angle, and it was fun watching it with Emmanuel, who is kind of the sort to be like, this makes no sense. That's stupid. Why are we doing this? And I'm like, yeah, I did think of that. So that was really good fun. Because, yeah, it's just kind of made me put it in a different context. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I definitely agree. There's a lot of characters that are really stupid. There's a handful of plot details that don't make any sense. But while it's deeply flawed, it's perfect and it's a classic. So 10 out of 10, no notes except from that.
Yeah.
Contrivances, plot holes, some sketchy effects, and I didn't like Benny. Sorry. I know you said
no, I don't think you meant to like Benny, but he
I know you said like you didn't dislike anyone. I'm like, I thoroughly disliked him.
Benny's a G.
And I didn't like some of the Americans either.
Oh.
They were. It was quite funny when they were like, those damn Yanks. And I'm just sat there next to American, like, yeah, this is what being on Reddit is like at the moment. Like, those damn Yanks, not you, but everyone else. But yeah, that's me.
Okay, we're gonna need a bit more energy. Okay.
I've seen this not as many times as both of you, I'm sure, but I have seen it a fair few times, and I've always really enjoyed it. And when I saw it as a young, when I was younger, I think part of the charm for me was just like, for some reason when I was young, I was really into like ancient Egyptian culture, so that kind of like magic of that really appealed to me first and foremost. But like watching it I just watched it earlier today again. And I only watched it like a handful of months ago. It was with Ben, like in October, late October. And it still was like so captivating, so enjoyable. And the things that really grab me that continue to grab me are like production value mainly, and like the music, the costume and makeup, um and things where it starts to this like, and like the special effects, like so effective, like even though it was like really quite a long time ago now. So I think it just like really it's aging really well. Like you could see how like it's still like it's not like technically the special effects are not up to today's standards obviously, but the way they were done, like, and the way it was shot, it was just like a really fun experience. um where it's kind of like I I I I know what it's not trying to be like a really serious, really like technically like um amazing film. Like I know what it's not like I know what it's trying to be, and I think it achieves that. And like so I think for me when I'm in the experience of watching the movie, I'm able to let like certain things just like roll off my back, I guess you could say. Like it's just, and it's easy. The movie makes it easy for me to forget and gloss over its like things where you wish it might have been a little bit better, but it doesn't take down my the overall experience of the movie for me very much. I think one thing that I might have hoped for to be a little different is I'm not a huge fan of I hate to say this. I love this guy, Brendan Fraser. He's like a fantastic person. And he's very charming and endearing and lovable. But like I've never been a huge fan of like the quality of his acting, I would say it's a little bit less than I would hope for. And then yeah, acting is just like not the star of this movie, but it's good enough. It's not bad that it like takes down my experience. But in terms of one of my nitpicks, I guess that would be one of them. But yeah, I'm sure like but in terms of just like contrivances and like plot holes and like I didn't really I was able to just gloss over those, and honestly, like I wouldn't be able to come up with many on my own just because I'm able to just like enjoy it for what it is. So, but I'd be interested. I'm sure I'll agree with whatever people come up with. Um, but yeah, really, it's just a really fun watch. It's like the pace, it's just so effective. It's so effective. Like especially like it says a lot for me to be able to be that taken in by a movie that I saw just a few months ago. So and that I've seen so many times. So yeah, one of my favorites for sure. Really happy to have watched it again. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Did you already go, Ben? I think you did.
No, not yet. No.
Oh, you go.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, similar ballpark to many of you guys. I think, obviously, I'm probably more like Emmanuel. I wouldn't have like overly watched something. I maybe have watched this about 3 or 4 times since I was little, but that doesn't dismiss the quality of how good this film is. And it kind of came out at the right time. It was kind of like a film that you hadn't seen much of in that era. That kind of was calling back to films from years past, especially, which I will probably reference quite a lot, is the Indiana Jones franchise. It is one of the few films since original Indiana Jones trilogy that has the same sort of spirit and the same sort of like vibe. Everything about it has kind of like, yep, let's try and kind of like see what Spielberg did with it and do the same thing again, but in our own unique spin. And that is not to discredit it in any way. I feel that The Mummy, at least The Mummy and The Mummy Returns, were the only 2 films that kind of like had the perfect balance of like being faithful to the Indiana Jones series while doing its own thing, had the same sort of vibe and tone. And there's so many films since The Mummy that have tried to be like, yeah, we're going to be like Raiders of the Lost Ark. We're going to have this sort of like style and whimsiness and this fun kind of like adventure romp, swashbuckling adventure thing, and none of them had the same pull. They're kind of like, yeah, some of them have been alright, some have been not so good, and some have been really bad. And it's just like The Mummy is the only one of the few that managed to get the tone spot on. And I feel it's just like not just like the script, the overall story, the acting, the vibe of, especially with the costume, makeup, and the music, especially, just all go hand in hand and making you feel that you're in this world. And it managed to convey that really, really, really well. And yeah, and I think the acting is really good, actually. Even if it isn't demanding much of the actors, I feel like Brendan Fraser just he has this kind of like brilliant charm to himself, this kind of like charisma, and this kind of like leading man quality, like a Harrison Ford type. He just has this presence about him. He's a bit of a scoundrel. He's a bit of a reckless fool at times, but overall, he means well, and he is the hero. He is the ultimate kind of like kind of the vibe of this 1940s serial kind of what you'd see, what you would consider a hero of that era, of the 1920s and 30s. And he kind of like encapsulates that. It's a bit cheesy, it's a bit hammy, and it's a bit of all sorts of things. But I think that's the point. It's this, that he is just this larger than life character that's just from the comic book pages brought to the film itself. And Rachel Wise does this brilliant kind of like in between damsel in distress, kind of like very bookish, very mousy woman, but still has this kind of like zeitgeist and like sense of like self and awareness and strength. This and she kind of like balances all those things together in a way that you wouldn't expect. And I think only she could have done this as well as she did. But the whole supporting cast does their own job really well. Of kind of like the tone is set for them in the script, and they manage to kind of like pull it off in such a like convincing way. But I think the sureness of the direction as well really goes and takes a lot of heavy lifting as well. But I think, like you guys have said, like some of it is a bit dated, but at the time it came out, they were kind of doing things that hadn't been done before, and kind of like really quite fresh and new for this era. And they managed to kind of like utilize CGI just before it sort of like we had the CGI boom of like the late noughties, and they used that as like, yeah, this is new technology, it's motion capture, this new ideas that hadn't been done. We can trust the director enough to kind of like pull this off. And sure, some of the effects are a bit ropey now, but the execution of them, like the choreography that went into kind of making it work, to sell it, the actors had to really sell what they were doing, fighting against nothing. And they kind of, especially Brendan Fraser, convinced you that they were fighting these things, these mummies, these supernatural entities and stuff like that. And if it wasn't for that, if they weren't convincing, and if the lines weren't kind of like meshed together well, it wouldn't work. Despite how good or bad the effects were, it's the interaction with those effects is the most important thing, in my opinion. And that's what kind of makes it more, not so much timeless, but stands the test of time, because of how well everything was like firing all cylinders, all everything, and all the actors and all the players were just like, yeah, we don't know what we're doing. We're gonna try and do our best to kind of like execute in a really good way, and manage to do that. And yeah, I felt that overall, after I saw watching it a million times over the past 20 odd years, it still stands up. And yeah, sure, like if you want to look at it critical eye, like some of the plot is a bit like not so much flimsy, but more like, yeah, they kind of like, I suppose they kind of rushed through things a bit, and they kind of wanted this like quick whip smart pace. Maybe it's kind of like this. They wanted it to be like concise, fast, and kind of breathless, and they have that vibe down to a T. But in the sacrifice of that, they have to kind of like cut a lot of corners and kind of like, yeah, we're doing this because of this reason, and it's like, oh, we've forgotten a certain narrative things here and there that kind of like will go a long way to kind of like make the story a bit more concise a bit. But obviously that's being me a bit rambling, can't think of a perfect example right now, but yeah, there was a lot of instances where they kind of like cut to things for like dramatic effect rather than narrative conciseness. It's a bit like it's a bit loose, but we'll give it the benefit of the doubt, because it managed to do what it set out to do with the tools and the people that went out to set to make it. And I think overall, yeah, they landed it, and they did it well enough for us to be still talking about it to this day. We decided like, yeah, it's worth watching, and it still is worth watching. And I probably in 10 years' time, I still would want to see it again. So that's the mark of a good film.
Nice.
Go on, man.
I want
Go
to
on. Kill it.
I want to go last because I'm the most negative of it. Though my rating is similar to IMDb. You know, it's like average 7. IMDb is like 7.1. So I'm in the middle of sentiments. But just from the get go, there was just so many things, like story wise, plot wise, script wise. I was just like, what? This don't. And I don't. The first Mummy was not the first of the series that I saw when I was younger. I think I saw one of the later ones. I was like, whatever. I never really watched it when I was young, and we watched it once together. Probably, maybe, was it like a year or two ago? Something like that. And I remember at the time thinking, yeah, this is okay. It's got lots of issues. but yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's valid, like how people feel about it. At the end of the day, it's a film. It's not meant to be taken really seriously. It's got a lot of fun elements to it. There's a lot of convenient things, but at the end of the day, it's for the entertainment value of it all. So yeah, not exactly something I would want to watch more than once, even though I've watched it twice. It's every time if it's on, I'm doing something else. I cannot do it. I'm just like,
wow.
like, yeah, like you said, some of the cast are very annoying. A lot of it just, because so many things just don't make sense. I find it hard to then just enjoy the silliness of things. And I'm just like, yeah, and I guess especially since I know what's going to happen, I'm not in suspense of anything. I'm just like, yeah, okay, wait, what? Why did he just die? What? This makes no. What? It's just a lot of moments like that. But, okay, but we can't always get into it as people like talk about it.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah, that was it. I was gonna leave different stuff to like as we go through it because I'm sure there's plenty of there are obviously plenty of talking points throughout the movie that were all interesting. You know, like.
That's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame you didn't really like plug into it like Camilla and the rest of us did. But that's fair enough, because I suppose it's kind of like when you look at it for the first time and you haven't seen it as a kid, and you kind of like, oh, that's a lot of. It is a very silly kind of like, I suppose, very on the surface kind of a flimsy plot, but as if anyone has seen the original Mummy, I don't suppose anyone has. Oh, Camilla has. Yeah, that one is even more.
I'm a horror film, but it's a very different film.
It's a very different film, but Emmanuel will have a lot of issues with that one too. Guarantee it.
Yeah.
Just because of how they stumble across the tomb, and Imhotep, how he comes in and how he arrives and how he takes everyone out. It's just as kind of like wacky, but it's kind of like that's what those films are like then, and that's what they kind of did. And the Mummy kind of has a foot in the past in that way of displaying these retro kind of like movies did all this sort of stuff, they're kind of like isn't as like Loctite, airtight narratives as we expect them to be. But yeah, it's just a strange one. But that's kind of like the history that these like supernatural horror movies kind of came from, and it's taking that with a bit of Indiana Jones kind of like adventure comedy aspect, rolled it in all into one, and created this movie. So that's kind of like you can see that all the pros of those films come in with all the cons as well. So I suppose, yeah, it's going to have a bit of everything.
I didn't know that. Are you saying that this is a remake of an older movie? Because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh. When did the original one come out?
Good question. 1944 or something?
And
Maybe.
Is it a different genre you're saying?
Well, it's like the original Frankenstein or Dracula. It's a universal horror classic with Boris Karloff.
Okay. Cool.
Let me see what the date.
But did the old one have a Benny?
Well, that's a good question. But
if the old one doesn't have a Benny, then I'm not interested.
Oh, he was a dingus. My goodness.
I love him.
He really was.
I think he's
scenes though. He has one of my favorite scenes, believe it or not.
I'm wondering if we now have the same favorite scene.
We can see.
Oh, as Camilla said, he's like a cockroach. I don't know if you said cockroach.
I don't think I said cockroach.
Maybe you said spider.
It's just one of those.
He just won't die.
Yeah, cockroach.
It's just one of those characters that I'm just like, I don't know. It's something I can't like. I don't think you can even like begin imagining being him. He's just such a prick. Just all the time.
He gives no shits about anybody.
There's just so much. I don't know. I just get a real kick out of watching like just the characters who are like that amoral.
Yeah.
Just like no. I think it's like when you have characters like, I don't know, like I'm not even saying that the main characters are all like particularly they're not like all heroic or like morally perfect. But like Benny's just such a prick.
And he's definitely the worst by quite the margin because he's just so out for himself. I think it really shows it well with when they first wake up the mummy and they're underground and he's got all of the different religions like necklaces. It's like he's literally just like, how can I help myself? Like, yeah.
I just can't get away from it. I just start laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I laughed out loud for that.
I was just like that's just him though. That's just it. He's just absolutely hedging his bets, and the only reason that he's got religious symbols is because of this.
Well, no, when it first, like, it's really early on in the movie where it shows how big of a bastard he is when, like, O'Connell is literally helping him save himself. Like, he's like, Benny, go for the door, get out of here, get cover. And Benny, he gets cover, and then he closes the door before O'Connell can get in.
Yeah, that was his first scene as well. It just showed you right there.
But Rick always tries to save him though. It's like it's really I don't know. It's just such a like great little show of both their characters. Where like I don't know, like he betrays Rick basically like throughout the film, and like even like right at the end, he's like he doesn't want to just like leave him to die horribly. It just happens.
Yeah,
but sorry, he's such a great character for me. I think he's probably one of my favorites.
He gave the end beauty too, right? It's because he packed up that camel with all that gold that they get to walk away with it into this.
Yeah. And they have that massive house in the next film, and it's like, oh, there's Benny's legacy.
Thanks, Benny.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like with Benny's character, he didn't even really I don't even think he didn't even really annoy me, to be honest. I could get where he was coming from. Like, where he lived, he needed to hustle. and that was his hustle.
That's how nice. That's how nice Emmanuel is. If you ever wanted to know how nice Emmanuel is, he thinks, you know, he gets empathetic with Benny. He's like, no, I get you, man. You know.
The guy, I must say, he's really lucky that he manages to avoid death so many times. Like every single time he almost dies, or he should have died, he just manages not to. And I think that's the thing to kind of be jealous of, actually, because I don't think anyone else has that good luck. If he probably should just played the lottery and he'd have been fine, because he's clearly very lucky.
Well, he's also just really good at covering his butt. That's what he's good at too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is. Imagine if you put your skills to like positive, productive uses instead of like scamming people.
Do you know the sad thing is like what he said though there was one line that he said that made so much sense, but only like a person with no ethics could bring themselves to do it. But it was so logical. And that he said, like, what was it? Like, when you're the right hand of the devil, you're not in his path or something like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's better to be the right hand of the devil than be in his way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in his situation where it was literally he either help him or he die in the spot. That was his choice.
Yeah. And if you think about it, despite all that, he did know what he was in for. He did know that, yeah, this is an awful thing to do, because he was like, as soon as they opened the sarcophagus and he saw the Book of the Dead, he knew this was bad news, and he fled the scene as soon. And he was always out of there whenever some bad shit went down. He wasn't that much of an idiot. He might have done some stupid things like ending up on the wrong side of the lake, on the side of the river, and just realize, oh yeah, I'm free, and there's, oh wait, I'm on the wrong side. Stuff like that, which will just happenstance. But when it was in his control, he realized, oh, actually, to save my own ass, I need to get out quick. I need to do this and this. Like, oh shit, I have no other choice but to kind of like be Imhotep's kind of right hand, because he's just going to kill me either way. So I might as well have a small chance of survival if I kind of like be under his thumb a bit. But yeah, so I can see the logic in him, and that's why he is a good character, because he's so conniving and treacherous, and only the best characters can be like that, where you kind of hate them and love them at the same time. So he's really, really well rounded.
Yeah, I can't go as far as hating him, but
well, you know what I mean. Just like, he's horrible, but I love watching him.
Well, and I just was thinking, is like, he isn't entirely heartless, because I do remember there was times where he would, whenever he saw Imhotep finally like get to the guy and like drain them, and
yeah, he turned away, didn't he?
He would flinch, yeah, and he would like.
Yeah, it was horrible for him.
Yeah. So.
He wasn't like, if he was watching it in Glee and was like, yeah, this guy's a piece of shit, but the fact he's just a little bit of remorse and like, he kind of knew that, yeah, this guy's bad news and I don't want to see this because this is nasty and stuff like that. He's like, oh, actually, you know, Benny's there's a bit of goodness in him. So I can see why, like, Brendan Fraser, his character is always so, like, he knows there is a bit of good in him left, and he wants him to be like, look, you have potential to be better. And he's always giving him the chance, and it's like, yeah, that's it. And right at the end, when he gets trapped in that, and that's like, that's it for him. So it kind of is a bit cathartic and also satisfactory seeing him die, just because he did some terrible things, but at the same time, at the very end of the day, like, Rick O'Connell was always one to try and, he just wanted him to like live. He didn't want him to die in such a horrible way. He tried his damn best to the bitter end, and it was like only until he had no other choice he was like, yep, that's it, fine, I try my best, so this, let's go. So great characters.
I think that's the thing, like whenever Benny's like whenever Rick's like interrogating him or beating him up or anything, Benny's always like, "You are my only friend," and I'm like, I think that's actually true. I do think he considers him to be his only friend, which is really fitting, but also really, really sad. But yeah, no, I think I just I think the first time like me and Eb watched it together, I was like, oh my god, just like I really love this like structure where you have like the other exposition thing. Cause you I don't know, I feel like you'd usually have like your team of guys, like it would just be the main three, and then that would be it. But I was like, but then you don't get to do the bit with the curse and all that. And I don't know. I think just having like a rival team just opens up a lot of sort of possibilities, just like narratively, because you can kind of like just build it up. And but like, I don't feel like any of the American team were just kind of I don't know. I feel like they all had characters and like they were all like fairly. I don't want to say they're like amazing, but like they all kind of had their own personalities and stuff. Like they didn't feel like they were just kind of like your typical sort of horror movie stand-ins where you're just like, oh, they're just gonna die, so whatever. Like I feel like they had a little bit of work put into them.
Yeah, you definitely got what they were motivated by as well. Instead of them just being like random faceless. Oh, they're gonna die soon. So
I was just reminded about like I was starting to be really frustrated with the Egyptologist who was just treating like, the like locals that they were having helping them. Like really disposably. That really frustrated me. Like he knew that they're like they were the ones that first got like salt acid booby trapped, right? Because he knew that was gonna come. He's like, you guys do it.
Yeah, one thing I definitely noticed this time round more when I was like, I guess I was maybe looking for things to be wrong because I'm being more critical, is that it did kind of bother me a bit that colonial context of it all, of people coming to plunder Egypt for its treasure, and like the natives are kind of just like the collateral damage on the way. And like even Omid Jalili's character, like obviously he's funny, but he's not likable. But I'm just like again, he's not likable, so it like makes sense that they weren't nice about him. But at the same time, it's just like this is like the only Egyptian or Middle Eastern character really that seems to be named and not on the wrong side of things. And he's just like, it's the bit when they're on the camel and what's the brother called? Jonathan Harris, Hannah's character is like, oh, they're filthy, they stink, they this, they that, and it just like pans to the prison guard person. And I'm just like, oh, this is kind of mean. Like, it's a bit awkward. It's quite minor in the sense that I think maybe you need a lot of, maybe the era that we're in of like racial justice and anti-colonialism and all of that, but maybe from that point of view, like you need like that mindset or spin on things to even pick up on that. But it was an awkward thing I noticed this time around.
Yeah, I did take that to mean he's disgusting, not
him specifically.
Disgusting. But it's definitely kind of in the context. Bit, yeah, it's definitely awkward that there's no other like kind of named character who is Egyptian.
Yeah, there's like no foil to that.
We didn't. I can't remember. I'm not the greatest with names, but we'd never got a character name for the main guy with the tattoos on his face.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he does have a name. But maybe I only know that because of the second movie.
Oh.
The Magi guy. The Magi.
Right. Yeah.
Is he in the second movie? Yeah, he's in the second movie. I think that's the only reason I know. I remember his name. I forgot about him. And also there's the
library guy.
There's Evie's boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, the librarian guy.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, so like I think they did. That's definitely where this movie shows a bit of its age. This is for a while ago now, and And I think they did kind of just like, I liked that they had, even though it was hard to watch and frustrating, it was probably very accurate to show the Egyptologists like treat the locals so disposably.
Yeah.
It was probably inaccurate, so I appreciate that. But yeah, they could have done it a bit more well-rounded. I think they would have if it were be done redone today. So.
I think the Egyptologist is a character that was shown right off the bat that like he's a nasty piece of work. It's like or at least like his morals and his ideas don't fit with us in a much more modern time. Like the second they're like, oh, what are they doing? Should we be like copying them? And he's like, they're being led by a woman. What could a woman possibly know? And he's like, okay, you're just an idiot. Like, we're not supposed to take you remotely seriously, are we?
Yeah. Which again,
and Evie fucking like runs circles around him, and it's like, fuck yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I really like Evie as like just as a character. And I feel like it's kind of a. I feel like I feel like we don't see a lot of. Many Evies. We don't see many Evies where like kind of they are. She sort of feels like a damsel in distress sort of role, but she's also like fucking pivotal to everything. Like the whole reason they even managed to get anywhere is because of her. Like without like her expertise and without her like telling them where everything is, what to do, but like all this cultural stuff, like how to operate things, how to just like even just kill Imhotep, like she's they wouldn't do it without her. Like she's so critical, but like she's not like it. I don't know. I find a lot of like modern female protagonists are always like quite. They tend to be quite insecure, where they're like, oh yeah, I might be a I might be a 4 foot tall skinny woman, but I can beat up like massive Russian 8 foot bear men like by myself with my fists. And I'm like, I don't know. I think I just really appreciate that Evie doesn't do that, and like she doesn't need to, and she has like she knows like she has value to the team elsewhere. But she still kind of like she still gets involved in combat and stuff. She still like when they're getting attacked by the Magi, she gets like a rifle and she's like, yeah, I mean, like fuck it. She's really not like a just she feels a damsel in distress role at points, but like she's not just limited to that. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think she's a lot more real. I feel like in a lot of films nowadays, whilst we're kind of trying to redress gender imbalance and the way women are portrayed in film, that there's kind of been a bit of an overcorrection where it's like, you can't be a woman in this thing without being a badass, and that's all you are. She would never get kidnapped or something like that. But I think Evie's just a lot more real. Like, yeah, she gets kidnapped. Yeah, she's distressed by being kidnapped from time to time, as every single human would be. But she's also like, she's smart and intelligent, has a ton of knowledge. That's why she's even there. She isn't there to be arm candy. She's literally there because she has the knowledge. And like, we just always like are reminded of that about her. And I think she's just much more of a well-rounded, real human than I feel like the damsel in distress in previous eras and women can be in action films these days when they're just straight up like, kind of like, if anyone's seen Miss Congeniality, they just kind of give me Sandra Bullock's character in Miss Congeniality, where like the idea of being like anything typically female is just not them because like they know how to throw a punch and like they're just as hard as every man kind of thing.
I think modern day protagonists could probably like, I do see how it might have there might have been an overcorrection, but I think it's just probably a balancing out of like the decades or like the decades of just like it constantly being like a weak, good for nothing damsel in distress. But I think what it's obviously there's always room for improvement because like no matter what the gender is, like people, a real person is complex and has various strengths and weaknesses, and gender is kind of just like besides the point. It's just like no matter what the gender is. You could probably say like the flip side, like a male, a protagonist. Like I'm looking for the day where they won't be the stereotypical like big muscly buff guy. It's like there could be corrections done in both sides. So, but yeah, fact of the matter is there are like strong kick-ass women, but yeah, it's not that's not all we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like, I think it's quite nice with the male characters as well. It's kind of like a bit of a cross section, like because you've got Rick for that kind, like the heroic kind of archetype, but then you've also got Jonathan, bit of like he's a bit of a weasel. You got you got like the American team, and like they're all kind of, I don't know. I feel like some of them are trying to keep up with Rick a little bit. Some of them aren't. And like, I don't know. I don't feel like there's any. I don't feel like there's any insecurity or anything. Like no one's got anything to like prove there. That it's. I don't know. I think it's just nice for just these characters to just kind of like be who they are and stuff without making like a broader point. And just, I don't know. It's just like quite refreshing, I think. But
yeah, I think it's important that they're playing the characters rather than they're actors that are being cast to be themselves in a sense. Like many blockbusters these days, oh yeah, just get Dwayne Johnson or someone in just to be themselves in a film.
Oh no.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I mean that would be. I'm surprised when they did the remake for this. They went Tom Cruise. I was like, oh, this looks like prime mistake for fucking Dwayne to muscle in on. But that's the thing. Yeah, I felt like it would be Dwayne. Let's get Dwayne in. He'll make it really shit. Let's do it.
But yeah, that's what's like. I felt like say you want about some of the finer points of the story. I think we all agree here that the character work is just like top notch, brilliant. Like every one of them, like you were saying about Evelyn's character being so kind of like in between damsel, but also a bit stronger and a bit more resourceful, a bit more than that. And Rick not just being a straight laced kind of like white savior, perfect male stereotype kind of thing. It is a bit more nuanced than that. Now they have these qualities, but they're kind of a bit more interesting because they have flaws and they kind of have their moments of kind of like weakness. And I feel that makes them interesting because of that. Like Evelyn isn't perfect. She does this and that kind of like is a bit of a crux of the mission itself. But like Alex says, she's the main cog of the whole story to actually fall into place. Without her, it doesn't really work. And same with Rick O'Connell, he kind of, he kind of is the guy going for this and knows about all the secrets and all that. He still is the one that kind of like helps kind of like fine tune it all to kind of like the story to actually kind of get from A to B. So all these characters are all major players in their own way for very small little moments and then larger ones as well. Of like,
what's really nice about Rick that I like? He's kind of like the action hero muscle guy who like kind of has his way and everything, and like there's times where like he sort of manhandles Evie and stuff, but like I don't I feel like he's like he values her. I feel like he's usually listening to her. He values her input and stuff like that, and it's just like that's really nice to see as well. Like he's not just going to come in and just go, I know everything, fuck you. Like he does, because like even just like the bit when he goes into the pyramids and he notices like the mirror kind of thing, and he goes, oh shit, I know what that is because Evie told me what it is, and he shoots it and illuminates the whole room, and it's just like he was listening like the whole time. And like I don't know, it's just another nice one. I like it.
He did give me a frustrating kind of know everything moment when they had the first encounter with the mummy, and they didn't fully grasp just how big of a problem they had yet. And they were having a discussion with that magi guy, and the magi guy was trying to tell him like he can't be killed by like guns, like and
Oh
then
yeah, he
Brendan
was
Fraser
like,
kept on saying like, I told you.
no, I killed him.
Like, no,
No,
you didn't.
no, you didn't see him die, did you? He just walked off after you shot him. Yeah, he had this more like cocksure kind of foolhardiness about him. That's for sure. Of heroes of the era, and it was just like, yeah, just because you think you shot him point blank doesn't mean the supernatural creature is going to be gone.
Yeah.
But that was one of the things. But I suppose even like there was like the one point where he kind of like we meet Rick kind of first time in Evelyn's eyes when he's behind bars and he's about to be hanged, and he kind of kisses her on the lips, kind of like, I suppose it wasn't consensual, but at the same time I can say that he's about to die. So I suppose I would be like, okay, fair enough. He kissed her for the fact that he was going to kiss no one else after that. But at the same time, it's like,
definite selfish.
Yeah, it's definitely a very, very like, yeah, I'm gonna do this because I'm gonna die and there's nothing else I'm gonna live for. So it's a bit icky for that reason. But I kind of like, you kind of warm to him, and obviously Evelyn warms to him eventually. And like right up to that point, she does not like him at all, and she doesn't like him even after the fact he's saved his life is spared and stuff. So it does take a while for her to kind of like be swayed by it, but she's still wrestling with these emotions and her feelings about him. But the more she realizes about him that, yeah, he's a decent guy. So I suppose it's like, again, it's set in that era of these swashbuckling adventurers, and it's kind of like expected of, and not that it's anything right about it, but Rick O'Connell was just of the mold of that type of like hero of that era, and this film is like a callback to that, like Indiana Jones as well, and that's the kind of the vibe that they were trying to do. So kind of like that's why I think we all appreciate the little nuances that kind of give these characters a bit more quirk, a bit more of a nuance, and a bit more of interest than they would otherwise. Because otherwise, it would be just kind of like a very one-dimensional piece of like popcorn entertainment that doesn't have much value apart from just the thrills. And this kind of gives it a little bit of layers that make you appreciate it and make you think gives the rewatch value more rewarding, because these characters are three-dimensional.
Do you know what I like? And this is a bit gushy, but this is partly why. And I'm sorry I haven't put my scores up yet because I can't listen to people talk and do that at the same time. So I can't do that. I let people do that.
We're missing a lot of scores on this spreadsheet. I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I need to do mine as
But yeah,
Scrolls.
Part of what gave this I don't know if I wished it was fleshed out a bit more, not intended. But
the mummy, he was juicy.
I that was what I laughed at. But I just love what was lovely is like I think maybe it was well done. It was subtly done because a huge part of the storyline is like why this all happens is because Imhotep loved that woman so much, Anaxon and Moon, and like he's still 3,000 years later, that's his driving force to like he's like a bust up old mummy, and that's all he could think of. So I think that was just really lovely, and that's what gave. I thought about that more. I'm just like that kind of love deserves to bump up the score, the purpose score a little bit. So I just thought that was nice.
Yeah. I mean, it was a bit bad that he was just going like, "Oh, the first pretty woman I see, you will be my sacrifice." Like, yeah, maybe.
I mean, he has.
I don't know.
He has got very bad eyes, and
That's what I wrote
Yeah.
in my notes. I'm like, and this is the first time I was telling Ben about this earlier. This is the first time I ever made those connections. Is like, and when it made that scene so much more funny to me, it's because he had just taken the eyes of that guy who needs glasses, and he wasn't wearing the glasses. And then when he sees the Weiss, he's like, "A next sun and moon," and he's like looking at it, like, oh, he's confused because he sees his glasses. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's
what I was
funny.
saying. Because it's like, wait, hang on. Can he actually? The whole film, Imhotep should be like, "Oh, what's going on?"
it would kill it a little bit if he just does a Velma and he's just got glasses the whole time. It's like, I am the mummy, but I can't see. My glasses.
I can't see my glasses.
I think that could be explained away though, because like every time he like sucks up all the bodies of the other guys, I'm sure
Yeah,
like
his eyes will be it.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, it can use the fantasy trope because he becomes more of who he was, the more lives and spirits he takes over.
That scene where it was truly disgusting, where he's like really almost fully refleshed out, and his mouth is intact, but then he goes to kisses
Oh yeah,
Evie, and it just turns back into like the decaying mummy mouth. It was disgusting. Why do you figure that happened?
It takes it out of you. Yeah. Oh no, maybe you don't know what my hypothesis for that was.
No, I don't know. Yeah, what you have a hypothesis?
No.
Oh.
No, I don't.
Okay. Just for ick factor, I guess.
So, can you ask that again, Corey?
I was wondering why his mouth was fully nearly, it was like all fleshed out, but then when he went to kiss Evie, his mouth turned back into the like decaying mummy, and I don't know why.
Oh, I
He
think
needed
it was
the skin elsewhere. Oh.
Oh,
Oh
ew.
my!
Sorry, I couldn't.
he had the skin in the game, that's for sure.
I tried not to.
Ew.
I think it was more. I think it was their kind of attempt to show that. Oh, when he just kind of like absorbed, he might look great, but as soon as the muscle fibers and everything starts moving, and actually has to do something rather than just look good, then it breaks that illusion, and you just start seeing all the nonsense underneath. Because also, yeah, and it also depends on like what he's concentrating on. Because at the end of the day, until he was made mortal, his body is like, is it truly completely physical? If it can change to sand at a moment, or is it like somewhere in between? So I think it's a mix of like, yeah, he didn't absorb enough. He had to actually use those muscles and stuff. Plus, he probably wasn't concentrating on what that looked like. So it just, he was too engrossed in the kissing. So yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe it was just to display that he didn't have a fully functional human body yet.
Yeah. Camilla said, and just to be gross as well.
Yeah,
that too.
It did sound very well. Ew.
Oh, is Simon there? Was he looking?
What?
Simon.
I thought he was still...
Imhotep.
Is that...
That's great.
Hey, Simon.
Yeah.
That was actually the oh, that was actually the joke I made while I was watching Grave of the Firefly.
While you were watching what?
Oh,
it's a very sad anime, and I got forced to watch it, and I wasn't taking it that seriously, but I watched it. And when there's like a someone's in like a full body cast, and I just started going Imhotep. And that's when my friend turned it off. She was like, "You're taking it seriously." But that's
Funny.
Emmanuel's just holding on to his rage there. I'm sorry.
Well, you're muted.
You're muted, pal.
It's muted with rage.
I think
It's
I
muted, right?
muted myself. Oh man, I'm just like surprised. That's a surprise. Not surprised. Say,
Not surprised at you being awful. No.
no, it's not that. It's more like if you it's I think the equivalent is going to some of the really sad. No, it's not. I can't really compare it because then that's a real life action film. I'm trying to compare it for anyone who, because I haven't seen properly Grave of the Fireflies, but it's very depressing. So I could imagine in any of the depressing films we've watched that you just got Alec going Imhotep randomly do it. And you're just like, what?
Well, there'd have to be a full body cast in it. So, but
I was like, this is
Anywho.
really sad.
Matt, did you want to point out any more of the significant plot holes?
dude, oh god, any more? To be honest, Emmanuel, I've got 44.5 points of plot hole. So if
Yeah, Emmanuel, do you want to be the Alec this week?
I mean, I'm probably going to thrash it more than he is. To be fair.
Oh man, Sam is in a loud place. I mean, yeah. So to start off, I guess I'll go chronological. So the whole when they're giving the whole thing about what happened and what happened in the past and why he got locked up and the method he got locked up, and it's like this, like it makes sense to do this kind of explainer at the beginning, but what they explained made no sense. Like it was like this was never done. It was just so bad. It was never done. Yeah, because it was dumb. There's probably always other ways they could have sealed someone, punished someone. All the things. I mean, even with like what they did to his servants, not his servants, his colleagues, whatever. With the other ones, but they're like, no, you know what? We're going to turn this guy into a living natural disaster bomb that could wreck the world. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
to be honest, I was wondering about this, and I was going like, what is the point? And I'm like, the point is that he suffers for all eternity being eaten by scarabs, and like that's a trade off for it. Is that if he ever gets out,
but wasn't even. It wasn't even for all his life. It was only for like a few years. He was being eaten by scarabs, and then the rest of it, he was just kept as a decaying undead that was maybe semi-conscious, semi-unconscious.
But my point is, I think like I'm okay with that bit. What I'm not okay with is how they go about preventing him from ever coming back. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you've got like a key that opens up a natural disaster bomb, maybe just fucking destroy it. Maybe just chuck it in a volcano. Maybe just chuck it into the ocean. Maybe just like fire it into space. I don't know. But I'm just like, why is there a key? Why is there still a key? Like anywhere? Why? Like why are you letting people wander around? Like, why are you going like, oh yeah, no, nobody tries to explain anything. Nobody tries to like stop them going anywhere. They only show up at night because they're like vampires, I guess. But I'm just kind of like, because you didn't interfere at any point during the daytime when these guys are most active. Basically, like, a sarcophagus got opened, and like Imhotep, like there's a key on the fucking sarcophagus of Imhotep, and it's like, what are you doing? Why are you only coming out at night? And then they come out and just go like, oh, cause of you, we're now fucked. And I'm like, you did fuck all to stop them.
Oh, they were attacking them like a barrage after barrage of attacks. So like I'll quickly say that, or I'll try to quickly say that I did write that as a like I was bothered. Like in the very beginning, they say like this
wait,
curse has never been done before, and then they go on to say like it will make him like invincible and hugely destructive. I'm like, oh, maybe why did you choose to do that then with such
Thank you.
consequences? Like I wanted to know more. Like why was it worth it to you to give that curse to him then if the consequences would be so huge? I started to wonder like maybe like if they had done a better job this would have worked out better, but just like they did manage to keep him tucked away for 3,000 years, and I think maybe knowing the destruction he would bring was like why that they were able so effectively and so long to keep him away. And I guess as for like the crap job they started to do near the end, I think maybe I don't know, maybe a lots of them were starting to like not believe that it was real anymore and they were just trying less. I don't know. But
I just I got every time they came on screen and he was like, "Well, you fucked up," and I'm like, they didn't really know because you didn't really try and tell them. You didn't really try and tell anyone really at any point. So I don't know. You could have tried a bit harder, considering you actually have knowledge of what this is. But it was also just kind of like you didn't actually need to keep this going for 3,000 years. If you just destroyed the key, then fuck all.
Exactly.
Nothing happens.
well,
the Magi just could have had the key themselves,
maybe
or
Why is it
have,
anywhere
like,
near Egypt?
okay.
have it
But why are we saying
maps of where to find it or something. Or why wasn't he just like burnt at the stake when he like slept with the king's wife? Like, why don't just burn him or something? Why go to all the trouble of and resource of making a sarcophagus and then burying him under a statue of one of your gods when you could literally just burn him to death or drown him or something, and then he's just dead forever? It's
I think I could see how
strange decision making.
enough punishment like to go like extra over the top. Like no, they don't want him just dead. They want him to like suffer in the afterlife, like for thousands of years. But like in terms of like destroying the key, I can understand. Like they didn't explain this to us at all, but I can understand how it wouldn't be necessarily like easily destructible. I would get that if they explained that to me somehow.
And
Yeah.
I was gonna.
Any kind of explanation why it's still around.
Yeah.
So I looked up and I was like, "Is the key indestructible?" And it was like, And I was like, if it was indestructible, that explains it, but it also doesn't really explain why it's not at the bottom of the ocean or something.
Yeah, they could have hit it really.
It wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't explain why it was done in the first place. They made a key at some point for that sarcophagus. Sarcophagi? Whatever. They don't usually have keys.
Well, it's also it is the key.
Like,
I don't know if they made
he's
it
touched that.
specifically. Like, I think wasn't that the same key that opened both the books? Like, so maybe the key was already in existence, and for some reason they made it the same key and lock situation for the sarcophagus.
Why did you make a lock?
It's just a bit wild because the ancient Egyptians were known to booby trap all of the pyramids and every antechamber and all of this to protect the gold and the wealth and the people buried in it. So it's like, I feel like you guys didn't do enough, given that they were able to access the tomb altogether. Like, it should have been so much harder. Like, they should have been.
The tomb just fell.
There should have been more pressurized gas and things like that. Like, yeah.
Even just when they see Rick leaving Hamunaptra, and they're going like, the desert will kill him. I was like, no, you could make sure. You're not doing anything.
Double check.
Are you busy, babe? Are you doing anything? You're just standing there watching him. It's just fucking kill him.
If they killed him, then they get that cool fight scene where he sees Rick again. He's like, "This one's a strong.
This one is strong."
But he should be going, "Oh fuck! Oh shit! Oh."
Wait, to answer one question though, if they did actually just burn him, you gotta realize in this particular world with their weird mummy magic, they can just revive him, so they couldn't just like kill him straight out, because if he died, someone else would have revived him. So essentially, they kept him dead, but not really dead in that sarcophagus. That's probably the only reason why they didn't like burn him at the stake.
Yeah.
Well, no,
and
because
that's
if it
what I
was
was
ashes,
saying.
it's ashes.
Yeah,
No,
well, I mean,
no.
you say ashes, but like, you know, they've got that mummy magic where they can like just get enough of him and like get like a sacrifice and bring his soul back into that body, like they tried to do with like.
They do that in the second film. They revive his priests from. He gets some dust and like makes new priests or something, doesn't he? Okay, fine.
Yeah, so
This is what I mean. Like, I'm okay with the curse happening. I just think like the measures to stop him coming back in are like fucking negligible. Like no one goes, "What did you fucking do?" Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, like they've got the warning sign saying, "Hey guys, there's a curse." But like just in case, here's the key, and inside the key is a map. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, that made no sense.
In the key.
Yeah.
It made zero sense.
This is what I was also saying to Camilla about this is why I thought they had said something but that they didn't say, because it was the kind of subtext of why they had done the curse to him in the first place. Like, while they was kind of not really mummifying him, but somehow they took out all his organs, but he was fully conscious and kicking still. Don't know how that happened. But while they were doing that, I was thinking, okay, the main reason they're doing this is to stop his soul from being able to go to the afterlife. Because just as he demonstrated with his love, you don't need the lady's body. You don't necessarily need their body. But maybe, I don't know. Point is, if their soul isn't there, you can bring them back. But if you block their soul from going anywhere, you can stop someone else from resurrecting them. But like Alex said, the whole way they went about all of it was nonsense. Made no sense.
Oh, it was just so frustrating because I was looking at the score kind of moving up and down, and I was just like, and every time it kind of gained traction, I was like, I'm doing okay. And then the Magi came back in, and I went, oh, to just dock it a couple more points because someone said something stupid.
Yeah, I agreed with one of the points as well in terms of one of the American group actors was terrible. The one who keeps asking for bourbon at that point. But before that point, like, his acting was not good. His lines were also not good. So it was just a double whammy of just like, this character had no hope. Like, it was terrible.
Winston?
No, the one who looks like Owen Wilson.
Oh, him. What's his name? Oh, I know. What's his name? Corey Johnson. Daniels?
Henderson.
Oh, Stephen Dunham. Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I had also said he reminds me, for anyone who's seen Gilmore Girls, he reminds me of a bootleg team. If you he makes me think he's a bootleg Dean. He's just like a really badly like parody cosplayed version of Dean, but gone very wrong. And if someone hasn't seen Gilmore Girls, then if you've seen Supernatural, it will be Sam. It's the same actor. It's a different name. But anyway, even his script writing, it's like they really couldn't be bothered, or they had no time. It's like, yeah, whatever. His lines are just, he's gonna die anyway.
Yeah,
and then the
dialogue was very clunky. Yeah, but it kind of fit with the vibe of the movie. So
it's the vibe of the movie, and then this like him. He was just so bad. I was just like, what is this? Like, no one else's script and acting and everything is this bad. It's just like really bad.
Well, I could say the same about you.
Huh?
Yeah, it doesn't feel good, does it?
I'm not in this film.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, you're right.
But in the script part that really made me go like, what is going on in this film? Is when he was just like, I want a bourbon. Okay. And I think of bourbon. And a shot of bourbon. And this is bourbon. Like, okay. And he didn't close the door. He's like,
yeah, that
yeah, and that point I was like, the fucking window's open, by the way. You know, the guy who can like turn into sand and shit. The window's open. But yeah, you could probably deal with that if you wanted.
It's just like, I don't know what to say anymore with this. Yeah. Okay.
I think the most unrealistic thing though is that it's when Rick and Jonathan are coming back. So like, fuck, we've got to save Evie from Imhotep. And then on the way there, under a very like small time limit, they manage to get hold of a cat and make it cooperate with them. Weaponize it, and I'm just like, not in a fucking million years. Like, they try and pick it up, and the cat goes, it's like, oh, well, shit.
I mean, the cat was in the hotel. That kind of made its own way, because like if it was just there in the room, you could have done it. But actually,
no, you'd never get it. You'd never get it to cooperate with you. I guarantee it.
It was really funny.
You just have to hold it up and let it hiss.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that's not a difficult thing to get. The cat probably was already doing that.
No, because you do it. You'd go on, cat, hiss, and it'd go.
No.
The cat was already hissing.
Yeah.
And plus, cats respond to threats and things they don't like. The cat would have been like, "What is that? I have to slap it. I have to hiss at it." Its tail probably like was full, like bottle brush. Like,
actually, in my opinion, that cat was pretty chill for what it was like up against. It was just like, it's just a little, it's just like hanging there, and like, it was just funny, and it freaked the mummy out. That was really funny.
I think the cat's the most realistic part, frankly.
I think that you're very silly. I said,
okay, cool. That's the resident cat whisperer. Like, I am a cat. Take my word for it.
Sure. Well, you know, fine. Take that. Anyway.
So, okay, I've got a quick question. So, is his powers not complete if he didn't like absorb all of the other like Americans, right? Because if they just saved the guy who was in the car with them, you know, just concentrated just a little bit more of like, oh, don't let the guy who's about to like get dragged off by two other mummies like die, or his powers are complete. If they just save him, just just a little bit, try to save him just a little bit. I think they could have dealt with him a lot more easier. Because if the curse can't be completed, that means he just doesn't get his full power. I mean, it's like they can still seal him up in the sarcophagus again, I guess, maybe, but it didn't make sense.
Yeah, he needed all those people that were there when they opened the jars, the case with the jars, and he also needed all of the jars too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
which goes back to. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's an oversight to have each of them clinging to their own jars when it would have been helpful to separate the jars and put them somewhere completely else. But
yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but it also, I was gonna say, it just also speaks to the plot hole that he's supposedly mummified alive, but you take out your vital organs and put them in the canopic jars. So those jars should be empty if he was able to be screaming and he was not dead when he was.
No, the canopic jars are phalanx in the moon.
Really?
Were they?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. That actually makes more sense.
Oh.
Take that.
Oh. Well, they did say that he was being mummified alive, so being mummified is getting all your guts taken out.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So either way, it doesn't make sense.
The canopic jars are phalanx in the moon.
I could
not him.
No, it's. I know what you're saying, Alec, but in the case of the movie, they did kind of explain it to be his.
No,
with a Lux to the Moon, because if they were hers,
that's why he's collecting.
They were.
Do you know what?
I think the film has so many inconsistencies. It doesn't matter. But yeah.
In the scene where they have Evie and Nexum Moon's mummy laying next to each other, there are a lineup of jars there. So I could see those maybe being Nexum Moon's. But as for the ones that he was that everybody had grabbed one, I was under the impression the whole movie that those were his guts. But then it doesn't make sense for him to be alive then, being wrapped up.
Yeah, he's collecting. He's collecting the jars to resurrect Nux and and he's taking their organs and stuff to regenerate him.
That makes sense. One thing that, because it obviously makes sense that he's after the organs for her sake, and that's all about her coming back from the dead. But what was the scene where he is mum? They grab him by the throat and they do take his tongue out. Or am I completely wrong about that?
No,
so they kind of do the whole mummification process for Imhotep as well.
Yeah.
So they do take his tongue.
They do, because
they probably do take his eyes. And they take his organs, but yet he's still alive. So it's a bit.
But you're supposed to lose your brain in the process.
Yeah, so technically he would be dead after that. So there was a lot of
I mean, I'm not quite sure on how you mummify someone, but if they just try to do the mummification process on him while he's alive and without any anesthetic, as in in that room where they were torturing all of his other priests as well, because they were technically mummified as well, but they didn't put super curse on them. They just put they just put him in the wall and I'll just be a statue. They could have done that, but no, they had to give him super curse.
I just thought of something. Okay, so clearly there's some sort of magic in this world that the curse was real, and considering all that he was able to do, maybe some of the magic was already in place, and because he was able to stay gooey that whole long time, so there's something going on. So maybe there is a way that he could survive getting all his intestines and stuff taken out. possible. Like, there's a lot of things that aren't following natural law in this movie.
Maybe.
I was going to say he is resurrected by Evie saying magic words, and then he starts getting organs and stuff back when he kills people. So, like, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway,
besides that, there was a small one, but one that definitely didn't make any sense. Was the what do you call it? Her the librarian's boss. What's his name?
I don't know.
We don't know his name. Point is, so that guy, he was like fighting the kind of Imhotep's servant slave people, and he just kept fighting them, and he was like, "Come on, we need to go," and he's just like, slash. It's just like you didn't need to stay. You could have.
I mean, no, he did need to stay. He needed to have that heroic sacrifice. He needed a couple more people to die before it comes an action movie, to be honest. That's why afterwards you have the guy who's in the aeroplane who is so willing to die. It's fucking hilarious. It's like,
hey, that makes sense because he's British.
But like I'm not.
It also
it's
makes
not
sense because his character.
Yeah. It's nothing against his character, but it was so funny how he was acting towards it. It's like, wait, I get to go on one epic adventure where I'm gonna die. Sign me the fuck up, you know. That's what it is. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, yeah, sure. But it's like I didn't expect it from him. Well, I mean, I guess I did expect it from him. It's just a bit sudden.
I loved Winston. Yeah, I think I love self-sacrifice typically will get me very well, but I think that part of how they did it, it didn't look like it didn't. I couldn't see the urgency and the necessity of him and the helpfulness of him doing that. It looked like to me the way it was shot and everything that they might have gotten all away safely. So yeah, they could have done that a bit better. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Other than that,
I thought it was
I don't
great.
think I had any other kind of big issues. Trying to think about it, but yeah. Oh, come on, it was a classic. You're on mute.
Are we supposed to be hearing Camilla right now or no? Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
No, I was just complaining that I've got polystyrene all over the floor and clay all over the floor.
Oh, okay.
Good one.
Drats. The death of Winston though did get me. I thought I was happy for him because that's how he wanted to die.
Yeah.
That was all right.
That is a nice moment.
It was kind of funny actually when he was asking the two guys, how are you doing on the wings? Brendan Fraser's character, and how their responses or non-responses. That was kind of funny.
I think I just like the tongue in cheek of it when he's just going like, "What does this have to do with the Royal Air Force?" And he's like, "Fucking nothing." He's like, "Yeah, all right." What's the job then? It's just like save the girl, kill the bad guy, save the money. Fucking amazing. Let's do it. What a guy. What a guy.
Oh, I did think it was kind of funny how Evie did basically save most of their lives by just kissing him. I thought that was pretty funny that he could be distracted by a kiss.
I gotta say, I really struggled with him like at the end. Considering he's like at his most powerful, and he's got like these guys are the only people who oppose him. It's just kind of like, do you want to? You have just seen the plane crash, but do you want to just kind of like turn into sand again and like just go and kill him? Just in case, just check. Because if they're already dead, doesn't matter. But like you're really losing nothing by just going and checking. And then he goes to kill Evie, but killing Evie gives him immortality. And then Jonathan comes in and he's like, "I got the book of Amun Ra," and he's like, "Oh, that can kill me. To be fair, I better go deal with that." And I was like, "Oh, you could kill Evie and be invincible, and then go get the book. Then there's nothing stopping you then." But then he just kind of,
I thought he was invincible already, and like killing Evie would have fought back and that's on the moon instead. I'm slightly confused by that.
No, he says if an Ux on the moon goes into Evie's body, then I'll be invincible. And I was like, sounds like you should just do it then.
Oh, wait, weird. That makes no sense. Okay, never mind then. Okay.
But then like Jonathan's just kind of running around, and Imhotep's just kind of like gone for like a lot of the action scene. He's just on the stairs forever, and then Rick goes down the stairs, and he's not there. But he's just kind of wandering around like very slowly, following Jonathan around, going, "No, don't do that." And like nothing's going on. Like I think if you watch that action scene again, like he's just absent like a lot of the time, and it's just like, what are you doing, man?
Is that the scene where he just stands there and smiles smugly? Is that particular scene where he's on the steps going, yes, this is what?
Yeah,
this is
he's just
okay.
Throughout. Yeah. He's just fucking absent. It's like, oh, okay then. But then like he's getting into like a fist fight, and he genuinely like at one point walks past Evie with the Book of Amun Ra to go and punch Rick in the face. I'm like, Rick can't kill you. The Book of Amun Ra can kill you. Jonah's go just deal with that. And he's like, no, I'm gonna punch that guy in the face. I fucking hate him. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
Like maybe he was also distracted though because he was distracted for the well-being of an Ux on the moon too, maybe.
Yeah, she'd already been like killed by the soldiers and that because Jonathan had enough chance to fuck about with the book, and it was just kind of like, okay, so that's another thing is you got distracted and Anaximaman died again, and you had to see that because you weren't chasing Jonathan for like any of that. You're just kind of walking around, and it's like, oh god, this is.
There was something that kind of just like I'm not fully clear on. You said that he would become fully invincible once he brought a Nux on the moon back to life. Is that what you said?
Yeah, my understanding is he says once I've killed you and the Nux on the moon's back is in your body, then I'll be invincible. And I was like, oh, okay. And then Jonathan distracts him and goes, "Hey, I found the book." And I'm like, and then he's like, oh, I better deal with that. But ultimately, I'm just going off the dialogue. I don't. I'm not completely sure.
Yeah, I could miss things sometimes. So Yeah.
But yeah, he just forgets he can like turn into sand
Well,
for like the whole thing.
no, maybe there. Oh, actually, yeah. Is all the ground sand? I was like, maybe there's not enough sand around him at that time.
Yeah, but then he's like, but it's like kind of like, well, you can turn people into like, I don't know, mannequin film props. So like, maybe you should do that. But he's just kind of like just chucking Rick around, and it's like, oh,
Maybe.
okay, you can. I guess you can do that.
Are
But
you talking about turning them into mannequins when he like sucks all the like life out of people?
yeah, I'm just kind of like, why not just do that to Rick if you can do that?
Maybe he can only do that when he needs to be more regenerated more.
Maybe. But my point is, he should have more. He should have more like powers, like open to him in that instance, more than throw him around the room a bit.
In the very beginning of the movie, they say that like he'll have control over the sand and the plagues. Like, are the plagues just like a one-off thing, or can he do them over and over?
I don't know. Not sure.
I assumed it was like, obviously, the original legend where it was just one plague of locusts, one plague of disease, one plague of like the meteors coming down, and then the Red Sea, kind of like blood in the water kind of thing. It was one thing, another, and that was it.
Yeah.
He could only do this like one time.
But he does turn into sand multiple times, so I was a bit like,
oh, that's not a part of the plague, I suppose. That's what
yeah,
I'm saying.
And like maybe he just needs to be around like a lot of it. And I just then I want to know like what is the ground they're standing on, because that would be important. Like if it's all sand, then that's reasonable.
Yeah, but he is also turning into sand to get into like Evie's room and stuff like that. So and then he like turns into sand to get away from the cat the first time, and it's just like he seems to be able to turn into sand like quite a lot. So maybe do something, anything else, and just
I take it as he's a bit like Count Dracula, like he can change into anything anytime for his will. So yeah, that is a flaw in the sense that why didn't he do it when he needed to do it later? Because if he can turn into sand, then he could literally vaporize and then rematerialize somewhere else through a matter of seconds. So that's that was just like I suppose it. I wouldn't say it's lazy writing. It's just like more like the writers forgot that they could utilize that.
Yeah, I'm happy calling it lazy, to be honest.
Well, I suppose lazy would be like, then he would. I don't know. It's a weird one because I would say like, he would be able to literally all over the place. Like he was like, Nightcrawler, just literally one side of the room to the other. So it is. I suppose it is lazy. It's just like more the fact that it's harder for the hero to win if he can do something so powerful. He's since overpowered, and maybe they shouldn't have given him that ability.
Yeah.
So
I think it must be really, really tricky to like match the powers and weaknesses of both sides, like protagonist, antagonist, like equally, and realistically. It's just like that just seems really challenging to me. To like make it like airtight and like not be able to poke any holes and
it should have been weakened in some way and done it, but like something that they could have discovered along the course of the movie that obviously he could have had the files at the beginning, and then somehow they figure out a way of like hindering him immobile from using them for some reason or another. But but either way, even if he couldn't do that, it would still be, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like,
we could do that.
even if he was using like a weapon or something, it would have been better. Like, just give him a fucking knife or something. But he's just going like, right, and then he walks after Rick, picks him up again, chucks him, and then he walks after him again, he picks him up, and he chucks him, and I'm just like, okay, we're doing that thing. That's cool.
Yeah, this is why the sequel, it makes sense, because they have a curse where they remove his immortal sand powers and he has to fight The Rock in his mortal human form with his weapons.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Something like that.
Oh. Yeah, of course. Because they did make him mortal at that point, didn't they? In this film, eventually he's like, "Yep," and then seconds later he is literally killed. So it's just so quick. It's just like, yeah, he's uber powerful, blah blah. Then Jonathan utters the curse or the counter curse, I should say, and then suddenly Imhotep is a normal man, and then Rick stabs him, and that's it.
That part I had a slight issue with, and maybe I want to talk that out, because he just saw, did he not realize that he was mortal? Because he knew, he was like watching his spirit be like taken away from him.
Yeah, that's true. He saw his brother's soul being taken to hell, pretty much.
And then he turns around, and then he just like walks right up to Brendan Fraser, who's holding a big ass sword. And he seems to have like no idea that that's going to be able to kill him. Like he's just like takes it in the gut. Like, I don't know.
I guess it's like it so happens so quickly, so I suppose he can't really comprehend it. Because it's quick for the audience, it's quick for the characters. It's like, wait, what? Oh, fuck, I'm dead.
It's so quick that it happens, and then Evie has to go, he's mortal now. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, I think that's the trouble. It happens so fast for everyone.
I was just a little disappointed that like Imhotep didn't realize that he was going to be able to be killed by a sword. Like he just like goes up ready to like, I don't know, punch that guy, like get into fisticuffs, but then he just gets like stabbed. He dies. Just a little unexpected.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, these are all valid. Do you want to do favourite scenes, considering it's midnight?
Sure, yeah. One thing I want to say before that, actually, that's okay. I just remembered, like, if you guys didn't know, Emmanuel might have the trivia for this, but it's just knowing behind the scenes of this movie. The fact that we almost lost Brendan Fraser in this. Like, he almost killed himself performing this role to no fault of anyone but the director, in my humble opinion. Basically, the scene where he is hung and almost killed in the film, literally by the neck, by the noose that's supposed to like break his neck. He doesn't. He's strangling. The director, Stephen Sommers, wanted a better take for it. And I was like, yeah, keep going, do another one. And then he wanted, make the noose tighter because you're not convincing enough. You don't look like you're dying. You don't look like you're strangling yourself to death. So he wanted the noose tighter, and Brendan was like, okay, sure, fine, we'll do it. We'll just do it. And it all got to a point where he was like, one of his arteries was like cutting off the blood from the rest of his body. And his head was literally purple, and the director was like, "Yeah, that's the take." Blah blah. But the fact that is, if they left him on that noose for any bit longer than that, he probably would have died. And well, either way, he might have something even worse might have happened. But who knows? But either way, there was such a ickiness about the fact that it was done so Brendan, as we know, is such a gullible kind of man. He was very willing to do whatever it takes for the betterment of the film. But in this case, I do feel he was a bit taken advantage by the director and everyone around him, just for the sake of this, because it's kind of like when you're filming a scene like that, you have this harness that's around the back of your body, holding all your body weight up, going behind your neck onto the top of wherever the crane is that's holding up. So your neck isn't technically holding up the weight, but even so, still something around your neck is still going to restrict the blood flow. And so it was still enough to kind of risk asphyxiation. And so poor Brendan kind of was a bit messed up for that. And subsequent films he did after this, many films because he was kind of like a journeyman actor doing very bombastic physical roles. He had so much like injuries and broken bones and broken legs, and he even had to have like spinal surgery where they had to remove a vertebrae from his back somehow to sort himself out because it got that bad. He couldn't move properly because of the damage he caused to his ligaments and his spine. And yeah, so he went through a lot of shit, and this is one of the films that the start of that, sadly. So yeah.
Ridiculous. You know, like as a director, that doesn't. It's acting. You're supposed to like act like you're being strangled, not like actually strangle your actor. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Just because they're not convincing enough doesn't mean that you should be like, yeah, Tyler. What is that? What?
Insane. Oh my gosh. But like, so like, it wasn't actually, because yeah, he was wearing a harness. It like he wasn't being choked by gravity of that.
No.
It was just tied so tight. Okay.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Poor Brendan. But that's the thing. He was still like, despite all that, he was still like so on it in terms of putting himself into the role. Like all the choreography he did for when he's fighting the mummies in the final scene. That was all him. That was him learning each part, and they did like multiple takes of him just being like just taking out all the hordes of mummies back to back, and that was flawless. That was all him, and the animated around him because of how his performance was so good. Because he knew his spot, he knew when to strike, he knew when to duck, he knew when to turn, he knew to do this and that. And not many actors of that era knew it that well without a coach, and he did it all without a coach. So that's just impressive.
And that's kind of where I didn't like when I'm like critiquing somebody's acting. That's kind of where I fall short in like appreciation of skill, because it does take a lot of skill to be able to act with what we're going to be seeing, and like we're just imagining that in their heads. They're not working with very little, so I didn't give him enough credit for that. So
yeah, we don't see the ins and outs. Oh, it's like acting is more, in my opinion, way more than just like dialogue delivery. Yeah. It's mannerisms and physicality. It's how you react to like the location and the people around you, like subtle stuff like that. That's what's really important. So yeah, there's so many good scenes in this, so it's quite hard to think of like an actual favorite scene per se. But the humor and sense, like there's so many good funny moments and the moments where he meets and talks with Eliza and stuff like that. So come back to me. Someone else come up with the favorite scene. I'm trying to think one.
Okay, so I've thought about this for a while. Like favorite scenes is going to be not really just a singular one, but it's everything that has Amit Gini, the warden from like the prison thing. He has probably on par the funniest parts of this film with Benny. And it's just like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like everything he does is incredibly funny. And his like, and the end of how he dies is it's incredibly freaky, but it's like still kind of funny because he like, you know, he orchestrated his own death. There were the warning signs of him pulling, like he saw the scarab, the hieroglyph of the guy like screaming with the scarabs on him, and it's like he does the exact same position and does a scream, and he still pulls off the scarab, and it's like, yeah, that's like, I don't know, man, you're funny, but like you kind of deserve to die.
Yeah, that was a good moment. I actually think you're right. I think the scarab scenes were probably my favorite, just because of like, yeah, I'm always fascinated with bugs and insects anyway, but this was one of the first films I saw where it kind of creeped me out, and I remember being, I won't say traumatized, but the idea of burrowing under your skin and crawling inside of you, that was just that creeped me out, and it always was like stuck in my head for decades because of it. And it's like the first scene, well, obviously that someone mentioned, and then it happens twice where they manage to save Jonathan before it actually goes into his skull, and they cut it out, and Rick blows it to smithereens with his gun. So it's just those little bits, and they're a bit dated with the CGI, but they're still incredibly effective because the actors just said it. They just said it, how it's just under their skin, and they do a brilliant job of like convincing you that these scabs are really flesh-eating creatures after your brains, basically.
I think, and like really quick, I think the CGI with the Beatles, like overall, is like pretty good still. It was like, you know, pretty, like it doesn't look as old as it is anyway. But yeah, I think Alex should go before he falls asleep for his favorite scene.
Thanks. Honestly, it's Benny. It's Benny with the multiple religious symbols. It just gets me every fucking time. Yeah. No.
The one of my favorite Benny scenes was the like pulling out each of the like religious symbols and doing the prayers. It was really good.
It's just when he starts speaking Chinese, it just kills me.
Oh yeah, that scene was fucking peak as well. I mean, that's like was my second favorite behind the Omid Gillies time scare. That is probably the best scene in this movie.
I think it's just one of those things of just it's one of those films where I go, oh, it's this scene next. Oh, nice, it's this scene next. Oh, cool, it's this scene next. Like it's very rare, and like I don't know, just in case I do lose consciousness. It was really weird scoring this because like I think I like kept it wound up with like the most positives like out of anything I've scored, but like there were so many negatives that it still wound up. It was like 73, but like I don't know. There's like a certain quality to it. It's a little bit like Emperor's New Groove, where like I think there's so much good in it that I don't know. I can't really begrudge it too much, and it's like it's just another one of those ones that just kind of like fly in the face of like my whole philosophy on films, and that like I think they need to be like watertight, and they need to have all their like all the plot needs to be like well thought out and stuff for me to consider it to be good. And I'm just like, I don't know about it. Sometimes like this has so much going for it, like just character wise and stuff, and it's like, yeah, no, definitely that there's a fucking lot of flaws in it, but like there's a lot to recommend it by as well. So.
Yeah. Before I go, like before I say my scenes, I meant to say, I did have a question, like, on my, I had closed captions on, and when he was doing the prayer that sounded like an Asian language to me, or his attempt at it, it didn't say it was he was speaking a language. It said he was speaking gibberish. So like, Simon, do you happen to know if he was speaking gibberish?
I mean, like, okay. So like, he was definitely speaking it with an accent. Let's just say it that way. I mean, like, he was like, I understand the tones of what he was trying to say. And I was like, oh right. I guess I mean, like, it's A for effort. I guess is probably the best way to describe it, because like it's like it's the thought that counts. Is probably what he was going for. That's why he got the Christ. He's got the cross. Then he's got the like to say the Muslim one. Then he's got like the Turkish one as well. I think what he's got. I can't remember. I don't even know the like proper like religious symbols that he pulls out. But like, I mean, it's the thought that counts. Is probably what he's going for.
Okay. Oh yeah, I was wondering. Okay, so yeah, one of my, I have a few, but like Oh, let me pick my favorite one of the ones that's left. Oh, it was a line from Brendan Fraser. It was when Evie was first opening the Book of the Dead. And I think he had said like, "Are you sure you want to be like? Should you be opening that?" And she was like, "No, I don't care." And when she opened it, there was this weird like whoosh of like air and like sand and wind, and then
The bush.
they both paused and just like, "Oh, that's." And then he's like, "That happens a lot around here," and that made me laugh. That was a good one. That was a good example of just like he does have some like really his comedic he has like a flair for comedy sometimes, so I just thought that was a good one.
Yeah, the comedy was really well done. It wasn't too in your face or obtrusive. It was just like the right moments and stuff. Like the scene where Evelyn's kind of like drunk and she's there with the campfire scene with her and Rick, and he's still stone cold sober at the time, and she's like, and then when you think they're about to kiss, and then she just conks out. It's just so lovely.
Oh yeah, and then he's like, "Oh," and then he just kisses the air.
Yeah. So yeah, he wasn't. He never took advantage of her. That's one's good thing. He did take that sneaky, cheeky kiss at the beginning. Overall, he was still a gentleman. Way to say.
I was going to say that what Ben had just said, that I may not be an adventurer or a treasure seeker, Mr. O'Connell, but I'm proud of what I am, and that is a librarian. I'm like, you know what? Good for you, girl.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But one of my favorite scenes, even though it's kind of like almost like a cheap bit of physical comedy, but it's when she knocks down all the bookcases in the library, when they're set up like dominoes and they just all fall like dominoes. Like that's
that was all one take, and she was so pressured to do it right. And if she did that, it would have been days to reset up and all that. So you had to do that perfectly, and they had to do that perfect turn across the whole set just to see them fall like dominoes, because it was like it cost too much to reset up. So it's like, yeah,
wow, she did well.
Yeah, wow, a lot of pressure. I was wondering, how did they do the ladder? Because they pan out and you see her just on the ladder like stilts. So was she like in a harness or something? Like,
I don't know about that. Maybe because it was perfect. She was like hobbling along.
Yeah.
So,
hopefully she was on a harness.
Yeah, right. I have another one written down. It's the part where Jonathan had run into the whole crowd of the people that had become enslaved with the boils, and like you think they're about to attack him, but he smartens up and he starts going, and he pretends like he's one of them, and then instead of attacking him, they all just start chanting.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah, I love that.
Because some points Jonathan is a bit of annoying British kid at some points, and it's just like, oh, what's he up to? But he kind of warmed to him as it went on, just because of overall his heart's in the right place. He might be just a bit of a frustrating guy at some points, but he meant well, and he did have his moments to shine.
And he cared for his sister.
Oh, he did. Yeah. Likes the bit when he gets, who does it? I can't remember. When they take I can't remember the scene properly, but basically someone pickpockets him and he's like, "Hey, that's mine." And I'm like, see, now you know how it feels. Yeah.
No, that's like when everyone's like one by one jumping off the boat once everything's all going up in flames.
I love that bit.
Rick is obviously like, yeah, can you swim? And he just chucks her over. And then they think all the crap's going down. And then Jonathan's like, oh crap. And he just decides to jump himself.
Only good show chaps. I think I got on Emmanuel's nerves because I was closing it all the way through. I wasn't probably not even really looking at the screen. I just think I was just saying I quoted the movie the whole way through. I was probably getting on your nerves. But
No, I wasn't getting on my nerves.
There's an echo.
that's good.
Was it
Sorry,
did all the
we're
American
missing,
version getting in them?
No
Is he
offense.
American?
Rick was. No, they take the piss out of Americans quite a lot. They're all,
Yeah, that was
I was
that was
saying, is
true.
he American? I was saying, is Emmanuel American?
yeah.
Like, technically, but
Not by association. Yeah, I think
He's the most American person I know.
the way it's been like recently, he probably it doesn't really relate to them right now.
I don't think he ever has.
I'll say that. That
His
boat
name is
scene.
English.
Yeah, sorry, son.
No, I was going to say that boat scene, that one character with like the hook hand. I kind of felt sorry for him after a while because, like, all right, he's been through a lot and he's got like a hook for a hand, which is like very inconvenient anyway. Then afterwards, he got onto the boat. He was like, okay, to be menacing and trying to like scare Evie and like threaten her for the key. Then he gets poked in the eye. Then he gets set on fire. Then he gets shot. And it's like, wow, you've been through a lot within this like one action scene. It's like, wow, you I mean, yeah, poor bastard.
Yeah. And Jonathan accidentally threw him into the fire. He didn't even try to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
I didn't know that was his hand. I thought he was holding a knife.
Yeah, he had a hook. He had a hook
It
hand.
was meant to be. You know, it's like when I think because back then they couldn't really. They actually have a normal guy with a proper hand holding it under his sleeve, so it makes like he's armless. But it's the Darth Vader thing. It's like his whole like arm is suddenly longer. It needs to be.
Have you done your favorite scene, Emmanuel?
No. Sorry. It is probably one that someone already said. But there's moments that are funny anyway. In terms of when Benji falls out the window, when he jumps out the window, and then he has this cartoonish, like dizzy kind of, and then he kind of runs off. Do you know which part I'm talking about? It's near the kissing scene from the Imhotep kissing the lady. Like before he comes in, he jumps out the window. I thought that was quite funny. I feel like other people have probably said any other ones. Sorry, I'm struggling to think because I'm also falling asleep.
Oh, it's okay. And we have said a lot of good ones, so.
Yeah, I think you guys said all the good ones. Yeah. All right.
Nice.
Sorry.
It's okay. It good? Yeah.
Good.
Good. Right. Fuck it up, come out.
What is your
Well,
film, Miller?
After much deliberation, thank you to Pat for reminding me because I thought mine was picked was next week. But after much deliberation, I've decided to go for a film that I've been trying to get Emmanuel. Well, not been trying to. I've been meaning to show Emmanuel for the whole time we've been together. That feels kind of relevant to why I've been unemployed for the entirety of this year. And that's The Devil Wears Prada, another classic film. I have a suspicion that, not a suspicion, I'm slightly worried that it might trigger my PTSD from working for my awful boss for the last 18 months, but gonna do it. Watch The Devil Wears Prada. I expect everybody to have memorized the cerulean quote if you have seen it and you know what I'm talking about. And if you're really organized, and you're obviously in the UK, it's on film for, I think at like 6:30 on Thursday, so you can watch it on TV for free. Otherwise, available on Disney Plus and all the other platforms, I guess. Another classic from our younger days. Yeah, enjoy.
Definitely iconic.
What was that, Simon?
Did you say it was on Disney Plus?
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus.
Okay, that's easier for me then. I know where to get it exactly. Then. All right, I'm gonna see how. I've seen clips of this film before. I think I can stomach it.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And we can, if everyone likes it, we can also see the stage show.
I thought I knew that was going to be the next part because yeah.
So I don't know if you remember Kirsty, my bridesmaid from our wedding, the one who did the speech, but she went to see it the other week and she said it was fantastic. So I have to see it.
That could be a fun one. I will pre-warn you and anyone in the future, picking a movie that highlights Anne Hathaway will not get the best acting score from me. But I love Meryl Streep, and I think this movie is really fun, like, and great. Like, it has a lot to enjoy still, regardless, despite her. So yeah, I'm mostly looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, Corey does not like Anne. That is, that's all I can say about that.
I look forward to hearing more about it.
Yeah, all in good.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yep. Thanks. I guess. Yeah, we're all wrapping up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon.
Okay.
Everyone's
Thank you very much, everybody.
Falling asleep.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
It was a good call.
And a nice
See you next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.
Michael.